Welcome to Cassadaga. My name's Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. I'm a metaphysician, ordained minister in the Order of Melchizedek. And I have been practicing metaphysics, I guess you say professionally, probably within all my life. Let's just put it that way. We're all metaphysicians at some point. Why? Because we're all looking for the meaning of life. We're all looking for the essence of our being, our creator. Where do we come from? So I'm going to touch a little bit about some of my studies and some of my research. Most of my research and most of what I'm going to talk about today was all channeled. Most of it was channeled. Not only through Melchizedek, but through some other ascended masters that made their appearance to me over the course of the last 10 years. But I'll jump right into it. Normally I do a podcast, so I'm behind camera or on camera, and I don't see my audience. So welcome everybody, thank you for being here. So what is metaphysics? First, I want to give everybody a homework assignment. It's a little bit of an exercise. It'll help everybody step out of their being and kind of look at themselves as a whole throughout your entire lifetime. This is an interesting metaphysical approach. Your homework assignment is this point in your life. Basically, your entire life right now is a book. It's yet to be written. It's yet to be finished. It's yet to be written. But this point is a particular chapter. What is the title of that chapter? How do you... You're the author, obviously, but what would you title that chapter of the book? By coming up with that chapter, and you don't have to answer it today, you can go home, stew on a little bit, and you'll be surprised. It will come to you, that title. And then you'll step away and go, well, what was the chapter before that? What was the chapter before that? And that, and that. And then the next, you'll start to recognize who you are as an individual. Now, the metaphysical aspect is, the definition of metaphysics is enormous. You can't really title it. It doesn't have a title. But the standard model we're all familiar with. We all went to school. We all took science and physics and stuff. So the standard model of metaphysics is everything that we can see, everything that's tangible, everything that's operational. It's moving, the moving bodies of the universe, the planets, the solar system. However, the meta is the abstract. Now, unfortunately, if you go on to Wikipedia will tell you, oh, well, it's a mute basis in reality. That doesn't seem right, does it? How mute? How can it be mute? But the thing is what's reality? Reality is only your perception of it. It's very specific to each and every individual in this room. My reality is not your reality. Your reality is not the same reality as the person that's right next to you. We all see, feel, hear, taste, smell, and reach out to the universe around us in different ways, in specific ways. So we are not... Your reality is your reality. So, but metaphysics is this huge, massive, unseen, parallel universe that we are part of. It's a huge spectrum, and I kind of look at this spectrum kind of like the electromagnetic spectrum of light. You know, you've got the ultraviolet, violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, infrared. However, we only see a very small portion of this. What's out there? That's what science is trying to prove. But we're trying to prove it to ourselves. We try to do it every day. We step outside of that spectrum every single day, but we're not conscious of it. We're very rarely conscious of it. A good example of that is dreaming. astral projection, meditation. Or sometimes it can get dangerous. You're driving in a car, and suddenly you get to work or home or whatnot, grocery store, and you look at you're like, what just happened in the last 15 minutes? How did I get here? What happened? You lost time. You lost your consciousness. Where did you go? That autopilot thing is where this third dimensional construct is, this physical world. We are multi-dimensional beings. How many people, raise a hand, how many people believe that we are multi-dimensional beings? Good. We are. We are experiencing ourselves every single day in a multiverse. This third dimension that we exist in, the here now, we're sitting in a wooden chair in a building. It's a nice building, nice and cool. Everything you feel around you, everything you hear around you, is only that reality that you have asked the universe for, that you are experiencing. However, there are times that we either need to, or I wouldn't say voluntarily, I would say I voluntarily step out of this third dimension all the time. But how often, how many meditators do we have that kind of get into some sort of a routine meditation? But, well, we do it every night. We meditate every single night. That's what sleep is. But it's a little bit more of a crossover. It's a bigger crossover. And it's a form of astral projection. And that's a way for us to exist outside of this third dimension. And but what I'm kind of want to concentrate more on today, as far as the metaphysical aspect, is the human condition, the consciousness, the human consciousness. Because we all ask ourselves, what is human consciousness? What is consciousness? What is it? I mean, I run a podcast, and I own a podcast called Conscious Radio Network. And it's like, they're like, Conscious Radio Network, what is that? I'm like, it's everything. It talks about everything, which is what I'm talking about now. Why are we here? Now, the metaphysical aspect within the human condition tries to touch on, metaphysics tries to attempt to answer many different things. What is ultimately there? What is it like? And ontology is the ultimate study or inquiry into it. But under metaphysics, there's 4 main branches within metaphysics, the main study of it. And that is 4 realms. I kind of look at it as other dimensions. These main dimensions or realms is the realm of essence, the realm of matter, the physical, the standard model that Einstein has proved. The realm of truth. We all are trying to seek that truth. What is real? What is here for us? Who are we? And then the realm of spirit. We're in that camp. This is the camp of spirit, Cassadaga. And we essentially are spirit as well, just stuck in body, having this experience of life within the third dimension. Now, there's many things that we got to kind of put up with on a day-to-day basis within this third dimension, and it's science, religion, magic, trying to survive, trying to make it to the next day. But I try. People always ask me, like, how can we step away from this third dimension? I wouldn't do it like entirely. It's not a good thing, because it's especially in a car. But for those how many people are kind of at that point right now where it's like, that want to condition themselves into getting in that realm and trying to get more closer to that realm of higher consciousness and higher realm? Show of hands. Everybody is. Same here. So some of the information that I had channeled through the years with some of the ascended masters was, we are an instrument. We are this, look at ourselves, we have to look at our bodies as a musical instrument. Has anybody picked up a musical instrument in their life and tried to play it, and we're like, oh man, I suck, and just go to the next one. I do that all the time. That's what our bodies are. That's what this physical body is. Some are born with an inherent gift. Some have to practice it. But we all have that skill. We all have that inherent, multidimensional, third-dimensional being of power to tap into that. But it does take conditioning. And this is what we have to concentrate, being here in this third dimension. It's really thick energy that is muted and just with all the distractions, because we have all these distractions within the human condition: paying bills, sleeping, we're tired, we're hungry, we're thirsty. How do we step away from that? A lot of the ascended masters and gurus throughout all over the world, even through the mystery school teachings, have taught this. The best that I've learned is by conditioning the body to be able to better in-tune yourself is plenty of sleep. Show of hands, how many people know they don't get enough sleep? Yes, plenty of sleep. The magic number is 7. 7 hours. Minimum. Sometimes I do 7.5. Sometimes I do 8. That is the magic number, is 7. You try to do that every night. It doesn't matter how busy you are. Oh, I gotta finish the dishes. I gotta finish the laundry. It can wait the next day. Anything can wait. You can't rush it. Another is diet. We all know that. What we put in our bodies, we get out of it. But what is really important with diet is the chemicals. I've given up fluorinated water for a very long time. It's all filtered. And this is where I get into the, everybody's heard of the pineal gland, right? The pineal gland, we're the only species known on this planet to contain this particular device, and it is a device that is a stargate. It enables us, it unlocks that door to many dimensions, basically the universe. This is what helps unlock everything. It's a stargate, basically. And I've learned through meditation and through counseling and through channeling that I wouldn't say it was purposely put into our world, but fluorination of water, fluorination in toothpaste and stuff, get it out of your system, get it out. Just, it calcifies that device we have. Another thing is, as far as learning the biomechanics of the body. And essentially, our body is a biomechanical organism. It's electrical, it's mechanical, and it lives. Learn it. Being able to understand that will enable you to understand what specific parts that help connect you to the multiverses. How many practice mediumship in this room? Cool. Now, I'm sure you've probably have very specific ways of receiving information from, I wouldn't say the other side, but there's many sides. There's many, like I said, many universes out there. There's very specific ways for us to get information, either visually, the mind's eye, by hearing, all the claras. Well, I've noticed that by understanding how the body works, you can then tell Spirit, this is how I want to receive the information. I want to receive the information by hearing, or by feeling, or by smelling, however which way. However, hence, you got to let the universe know that too. Letting the universe know that this is how I am more in contact with the multiverse, the other dimensions out there, and will help unlock these truths, that other realm of metaphysics. So, as far as the third dimension, there's so many definitions out there. What I've learned through meditation channeling and also through the mystery schools is, and a lot of gurus and ascended masters have taught this through the ages, is, in layman's terms, it's the physical theater, the here now. But what is the ultimate goal? I'm sure everybody in this room wouldn't have come into this lecture but to understand why. What is it? How do I step away from this? One of my favorite movies, The Matrix. I refer it to The Matrix. We are in the Matrix. Makes more sense nowadays because we have all these electronic devices. You can sit in front of your computer or phone, and you can spend hours there and be connected to something that you will lose all sense of time. It's a good way to lose time and miss it, let it pass by. But what other things are happening around you that you are truly missing, that you're losing connection with? So the what I am suggesting is one of the other conditioning factors is disconnect. I mean, we're all guilty of it. I have to stay connected at some point because all my stuff is, podcast, internet, everything. But there's a moment where you got to step away and kind of go, right? I need to walk away and connect to self. Meditate, connect to self, and you'll start to realize that there is much more out there. There's much more around us. The synchronicities, synchronicities. And as far as the consciousness, I feel that we're not paying attention to that world around us, this third dimension. It's amazing that nowadays, we like, I'm talking about the third dimension, but at the same time, we're existing outside of the third dimension more now than we realize it, because we're on our phones, we're on our tablets, we're doing all this stuff, we're multitasking. I don't truly think that we really multitask. You let any scientist know out there that studies the brain, it's impossible. Our brain cannot do more than one thing at a time. But we try to. Now, where's my time right now? I'm not even looking at time. Wow, I still got time left. Ooh. Normally, I don't take notes. This is the first time I've actually took notes, but what I want to do is I want to open the room up for discussion and questions. Anybody have any questions? As far as I kind of ran out of stuff. My notes are only 2 cards. Got a blue shirt back there?
What type of stuff do you broadcast on your podcast?
I touch on the paranormal, metaphysical. I kind of got a little bit into the conspiracy aspect, but I'm kind of careful of what kind of ground I tread on. Mysteries of the mind, the space, the time, pretty much a lot of what I've discussed just moments ago. Mainly the paranormal and the metaphysical. I've had a lot of practitioners on the show, holistics, shamans, and other practitioners that talk about their practice and what they teach.
Mentioned briefly astral projection. Have you ever experienced it yourself? What was your experience yourself?
I'd say I probably experienced it more often than I want to. My first experience was about 25 years ago. I was doing the conditioning portion of it, and I ended up, I was laying down in the living room. It was like midnight, and I saw my body. I left my body, and I saw it, and I experienced it. And interestingly enough, that it was the same evening that I heard my dad call my name. My stepfather had called my name, Paul. Well, I woke up, went back into body, and I realized, because I had to put the phone on mute, I'm like, well, nobody's going to bother me when I leave my body. When I woke up, I looked at the message, called my mom back, and my dad had a heart attack. While he was having the heart attack, he had reached out to me while I was astral projection. Heard him call me, clear as day. Nowadays, like I said, that was like 25 plus years ago. Nowadays, I think I do it more often than I want to. I'm sure everybody in this room probably does it more often than you want to, but you don't realize what you're doing. It's called daydreaming. We do it all the time. That's the most common form of astral projection. Or when you think of something like, I wonder what it's going to be like when I go to a particular place, like you're envisioning a particular room. As soon as you envision yourself in a particular place and time, what you're doing is you're remote viewing and essentially astral projecting. Especially if, as a medium, you'll start to realize this too, because you'll be able to use a lot of your senses, like smelling. You'll be able to smell the space. You'll be able to hear the space, feel the space. But we do it quite often. Right. Another question?
How do you channel? You talk about channel.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Really deep states of meditation. I'll sit there for, I think the longest one was about 10 hours. I started out doing quick 15, 30-minute meditations. I use sound. I'll use either like binaural beats and 2 different frequencies in one ear. That's how I originally started. Or guided, when I just hear a voice and someone just gets into that mode. And, especially through mediumship. If you learn the mediumship, you'll get into these guided meditations just to get to that relaxing level. Once you get to that relaxing level, you then concentrate on the breath. Like Julio mentioned, the moment. Concentrate on the moment and only the moment. Another main part is we have to step away from this compulsive mind, thought-generating machine called the brain. By concentrating on the moment of breath, you slowly start to lose sight of the mind, because your brain's going to start thinking about stuff. For instance, I got a little time, 5 minutes, which is plenty of time. I'll do an exercise. I want all of you, for the next 30 seconds, to stop thinking. Just stop thinking. A little tough, isn't it? Because you now are thinking about, how am I going to think about not thinking? Your mind is now compulsory going in and going, it's trying to pull as much data out to go, oh man, this is an exercise. Well, when you get into really deep states of meditation, it doesn't happen often for me, but when it does, yeah, it's wonderful. But when it does happen, to be able to step away from the mind that is always generating information for you to go off of, step away from that, and that is the first step into astral projection and channeling, because now you've lost the mind, and now you're bringing in spirit, ascended masters, and all the spirits that or energies or entities that are here for the highest and best. Next question. I've worked with some people that have worked in the military for remote viewing. The military-industrial complex has been using remote viewing since 1967, I believe. Yep. I got a friend out in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. He's been on our show. Actually, he was just recently on the show last night. Daniel Jackson, and a few other people who have been doing a lot of remote viewing, not at a military aspect, but there's a lot of governments and a lot of institutions that use remote viewing a lot in order to gain some sort of an advantage over their competitors. For the good. Yeah. 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 And that's the thing too, is whatever ability that you are trying to hone in on and trying to, I wouldn't say perfect, but keep in the back of the mind that, or back of the consciousness, that it is for the highest and best intentions for the human race, for our being, and for the cause. Because truly, and Julia brought this up, is everything that I do, everything that we should all do, should be of the service of us all. That we are here as a community. The gifts that you have, the gifts that you're trying to hone in on, everything that we do within this third dimension is and this is other information that was channeled in from the Ascended Masters, is everything that we do in this third dimension, unfortunately we're not truly stuck here, but the things that we do should be for the benefit and for the welfare of our fellow human being. Period. Paying it forward, just help others. That's what it's all about. Being in the third dimension. You have one more question?
Talking about dreaming, maybe more than just healing our body during that time. Maybe it's a reminder for us while we're here, away from knowledge of everything else out there. It's a reminder that we are more, that we are connected to something, to a higher source. And so it's a gift for us to remind us that we really are connected more than we realize, that there's more to it than just this third-dimensional time.
Yeah. Dreaming is truly a therapeutic tool that was given to us. I mean, can you imagine and there's people out there that I know that have been in the military that have been forced to not sleep, just to do specific projects. But sleeping is truly a therapeutic. It is to help us grow. It's to help us with our mental, physical, and emotional bodies. This helps us with this biomechanical organism. And that is why that is the most important thing in helping condition this third dimensional vessel that we're stuck in to be more connected to the multiverse and be more connected to our multidimensional being. I think that's it. Well, I appreciate everybody. Thank you. If anybody has any other questions, I'd be more than happy to stick around and answer them for you. Oh, the podcast is Conscious Radio Network. And I can give you the information afterwards. And, yep. I try to keep everything consistent, but I'm still working on the website. It is active, but it's consciousradionetwork.com. On YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. Well, soon to be Apple Podcast. So, but yeah, I'll give all the information out to everybody as soon as I get off the stage. But I do appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.